Okay, I said last month that it was probably my biggest month for gaming, but this time I really mean it. This is games I played in October. One game I've had my eye on for a while is Helldivers 2. The difficult thing for this is that it's in the spot where it's worth the price, but it's still too much for an unemployed hobo like me. But thankfully, the game seems to be in a much better place in terms of balancing, so right now might have been the best time to start playing. I have also played the first game, and after all of my hours in Deep Rock Galactic, I knew I would have a blast in this game, and I was right. The first thing I noticed is how cinematic the game is. Its graphics, lighting, and all of the fighting moments literally feel like a scene from a movie, and there were so many moments my jaw just dropped and I went, that was cool. The weapons and all the enemies and the movement, hell, all of the systems are so smooth and complement each other in more ways than one. Helldivers 2 as a hilarious and satirical game is just pure fun. And once again, to add to my recent collection of Souls-likes, I started playing Elden Ring. Now I don't think I need to yap about just how good this game is, as the most recent evolution of the Demon Souls formula, and especially being morphed into an open world game, it's jaw-dropping. As you would expect, the boss progression feels fantastic, but being open world gives you so many more ways in which to tackle situations. If you're not powerful enough for this certain area, or just stuck in whatever way, you can just go explore another area. This just opens up so many more possibilities that honestly you probably would expect it from FromSoft. But many of this only works in an open world game, and thank God exploration is also involving and not just plain and boring. Looking at you, Ubisoft. The introduction to Torrent adds a great movement system that makes the world and all of its exploration feel very fluid, and also adds a bunch of new options to combat. Elden Ring has so many fantastic systems, and some of the best open world exploration I've ever seen. It's definitely worth all of the hype. Death Stranding, the ultimate walking simulator. From a lot I've heard before starting my playthrough, this game is very love or hate, and honestly, I fuck with Kojima's cutesy freaky shit. This one's an easy 10 out of 10. Like I said, this game is literally the walking sim, but like Elden Ring, the whole world is actually quite fun to traverse and low-key just really relaxing. There's not much going on, but having to balance out while climbing mountains, and especially while having a heavy load, is really engaging. Especially those rare moments where the camera pans out and you get the most life-changing song to ever grace your ears. Fuck, I love the soundtrack of this game. Combat, whether avoiding BTs or fighting mules, I thought it was very out of place when I first started playing, but it actually feels very responsive and spices up a lot of the missions by contrasting the usual point A to B requests. The story is of course very complex being a Kojima game, but it's super interesting to follow through. Smooth controls, fantastic story, tons of content, a soundtrack to die for, no complaints for Death Stranding. I also began playing Escape from Tarkov. For the longest time, I really thought that I wouldn't be into this type of game with how complex and realistic it is, and really just the extraction gameplay I'm not the biggest fan of. But I started getting a bunch of videos on my YouTube recommended, and I just got this itch one day for a new survival multiplayer game. And so I bought it, and for a whole week it was all I played. The extraction based gameplay and the pressure of losing everything on death ensures that you play with purpose, and every situation is properly thought out before you execute on any action. Although the gunplay is super satisfying and map traversal is always interesting with each raid, most of the replayability comes from completing tasks for traders. Although it is very frustrating when you make your way to an exfil with a task item and then get blasted in your back. Also, the addition of meta progression with the hideout allows for more items to seem more desirable and really gives your looting more purpose. Escape from Tarkov is just surprisingly a super satisfying and rewarding game, and I can't wait to see how the game changes after its full release. And finally, I replayed Resident Evil 7 BIOHAZARD. Again, this game I've replayed at least 5 times now, and so, for a survival horror game, it really isn't very scary anymore for me, but the gameplay and story is still really fun to play through. The style of the game and all of the characters are super interesting, and each separate area of the game offers a whole fresh vibe which makes sure that you never get bored of any specific section. Working your way through the map and solving all the puzzles while fighting the boss fights and managing inventory is just a super involving gameplay loop, and every moment of this game is so memorable. It's all great, except for the second half of the game, which really falls off unfortunately, but hey, at least it's really quick to get through if you know what you're doing. I might need to go back to achievement hunting for this game, but for now, we're gonna move on to Resident Evil 8, baby.